Okay, this is an introduction to Wandroid #1, Ordeal from the Mad Overlord. As you may have read in my blog, this is a port of the original Wizardry game for computers back in the early 1980s called Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord. The game became famous as the inventor of the dungeon crawl genre, so I'm really excited to see that it's been ported to phones. There's going to be a link to my blog where I talk about the game in the description below, as well as a link to the game itself. So in case you haven't already downloaded it, you'll be able to download it and start playing it on your phone. But let me go straight into an introduction of the game itself. Let me minimize my picture here so you can see. I should probably edit that part out. Okay. As you can see from my group here, there are 7 scenarios in the game. Each scenario has a different dungeon in it, and after I think the first 3 games, there are new features on the menus, so I'm going to have to do another video to introduce them when we get to them. But for now, I'm just here to show off the first game, Ordeal from the Mad Overlord. Unfortunately, for those of you who have really fancy phones, there is no color or graphics in this game. This is the free version of the game, which has a banner advertisement at the top of the screen. It's not terribly obtrusive, but it's there. You can play this game offline. If you don't have data or if you don't have Wi-Fi, it'll still play. Just the ads will not appear. And the game is rotatable. I'm going to show it to you real quickly, but I can't really do much of it in this video because the details get lost in the video of the rotation. But I want to show it to you real quickly. Rotate. Okay, so now it becomes kind of like a Game Boy presentation. You have your OK and cancel buttons on the right and your direction control buttons on the left. It's very easy to play that way, but as you can see in the video, it doesn't show off very well. So I'm going to be playing it like this. Minimize that again. Okay, so this being a dungeon crawl game for real, true D&D players, this is like a watered-down version of D&D. It's the closest I've ever seen to actual D&D, but it is still a lot of things about D&D missing from it. So it's a bit simplified. For those of you who are accustomed to merely a bunch of match 3 games, this is going to be very different. A lot of interesting challenges and a lot of interesting adventure. You be prepared to use your imagination instead of having the game show you everything. It shows you almost nothing of the monsters you meet except for names and quantities. So you're going to be using a lot of your imagination. Now, when you go to play this game, you're going to have to set up and create characters, and I'm going to show you that real quickly because I've already set up a group of characters, but I want to show you at least a little bit of how to do it. So let me go to the training grounds, which is where you go to create characters, and real quickly I'm going to create a character called Bishop. Yes, you have alignment. You can be good, neutral, or evil, just like in D&D. There's no chaotic, lawful. There's just simply good, neutral, evil. Your races, you can be human, elf, dwarf, gnome, or hobbit. As with D&D, dwarves are better fighters. Elves are pretty frail. Humans are pretty balanced across the board. Gnomes make good priests and mages. Hobbits make good thieves. For my bishop, though, I'm going to make him human for other reasons. Now, let me show you real quick. When you go to create your character, you get your stats, kind of like in D&D, but you get bonus points to add to your stats kind of like rolling a die to get extra points to add to your thing. But what you can do is if you get a low bonus count number, you can hit cancel and it'll give you a new roll. So if you don't like the number of points that you got, you can keep hitting cancel and it'll give you a different roll until you get a better number. So for my bishop, this is going to be something I should have already told you about. Priests can learn priest spells, the heal spells, utility spells, stuff like that. Mages learn the attack spells. Bishops can learn both schools of spells, although a little bit slower. Also, bishops can be used to identify random objects found in the dungeons for free, and to uncurse monsters just like the priests can. So they're a fairly good all-around character, but as I said, they do learn spells a bit slower. However, they're still extremely valuable to have. For priests, for wizards, you have to have an intelligence of at least 11. For priests, you have to have piety of at least 11. For a bishop, you have to have both of these being at least 12. So, and I'm going to give him a little bit of a boost in luck because, as I understand it, identifying random items requires a little bit of luck. So we're going to go ahead and create this character, make him a sage. In the original wizardry, as I said, this class was called Bishop. That's why I'm naming this character Bishop, so I'll remember who he is. Okay, create. Okay, so now we have a Bishop. Let me go and show off something about this character. So you see the characters that I've already created. I created 3 fighters. I made them dwarves, just like I said in the blog. This is my basic starting party. If you imagine going through the dungeon 3 people wide, your first row is your fighters, and your second row is your priest, mage, thief, whatever, because only the first 3 characters in a party can fight. This is something that's added. It's changed later in the series. I think it's game 3 when they changed it. But for game 1, it is literally only the first 3 characters can fight directly with the monsters. So you want your first 3 characters to be fighters. High vitality, so they get lots of hit points, and high strength, and be fighters so that they can carry the best weapons and hit hard. And, of course, as you see also, there's a thief, a priest, and a wizard. I called him mage-like because in the original wizardry, the wizard characters were called mages. So I called him mage-like to remind me of what he is. Let me go ahead and add this character. And because I'm going to be doing some other showing off, I want to add some of the rest of the characters. In Gilgamesh's Tavern, you can also divvy gold, meaning divide the gold up between all the characters in your party. And we have 43 gold. But what I need to do, as you can see, the armor class, the AC column, the armor class of my bishop is 10, while the armor class of my other characters is below 10. When you start out, your characters are naked, and they have an armor class of 10, meaning anything can hurt them. What you want to do is you want to get armor to lower their armor class and make them better defended. So for now, we need to go to Boltax's trading post, put all the gold in my bishop's character. He has 258 gold. Normally, characters start out with like 105 gold. Not a whole lot. So when you're first starting out with your characters, buy conservatively, knowing that you will get golden loot in the dungeons to be able to get better armor later. So start out with just getting basic normal robes, a bronze sword for your fighters, a staff for your priests and mages. Just spend as little as you can at first, and then slowly start getting better armor, sell your old stuff, and buy better stuff when you've gotten good loot in the dungeon. But it's important to have a bishop because when you go to identify unknown items, as you can see, I've been in a dungeon a lot with these characters, and they have a lot of loot, and Boltax is going to charge me 10 gold pieces to identify the first sword, 15, 50, 25. He's going to charge me this much to identify these things. And then when I go to sell them, if I don't need them, he's going to pay me that much to buy them, which means I make zero profit. So this is why it's important to have a bishop. You can have things identified for free and then sell them to Boltax for a profit. So you can earn more gold that way. But for now, I'm going to show real quickly identifying an item. And he just spent a little bit of gold to identify that item. So we're going to sell that dagger for exactly as much as he charged to identify it, which means no profit. So, but before I do that, let me move this up a little bit. I forgot that we were here to buy our bishop. Of course, I got to move this again. A little circle on the right of these items shows that he can equip these items. The X shows those are items he cannot equip. I'm not sure if Boltax will still sell him items that he can't equip, but it's important to remember when you're going to equip your party characters to look at that spot on the right to see can they equip this or not. Fortunately, his weapon is cheap, armor. Again, bishops, priests, and mages and wizards cannot equip very fancy armor. Get him a shield. Yeah, he can equip a wooden shield, but we can't afford that right now. Get him a helmet. Mage's Patassos. Gloves. Get him a priest mitten. Oh, he can't afford that. Okay, so I'm going to have to go and show off in Gilgamesh's Tavern. This is the overview of an individual character. It shows the level at the very top left, the name next to it, and off to the right of that, it shows his alignment, good, he's a sage, he's human, his experience amount, how much gold he has, his hit points, how many he currently has, / how many he can have, his spell counts, his attributes, strength, intelligence, piety, vitality, agility, and luck, his armor class, which you'll see going down as he equips stuff, his age, marks is how many things he's killed, rips is how many times he's died. And then below his spell counts is the stuff that he's carrying and whether or not he's equipped with it. Let me real quickly equip his staff. And you see there's an asterisk next to his staff. That means it's equipped. A space next to his item shows that he can equip it. If it is something that he can't equip, it'll have a number sign next to it, or a pound, as we know. Now see, his armor class has now gone down to 9. Armor, priest robe, gloves. He didn't get gloves. And his armor class is now down to 6. So, before I get too far into anything else, let me identify some items. Now he can identify all the items that our party is carrying. And because he is level 1, he may not be able to identify everything that he sees, because he doesn't have the experience with identifying. And yes, I'm not surprised by that. Bishops are notoriously slow in being able to identify rings, especially if they're higher advanced rings than his level. since he's only level 1, he's going to have difficulty with his stuff. So now we can go to Bolt Axe and sell all the stuff that we can't use. Don't sell the rings because we haven't identified them yet. We might be able to get more for them. Okay, now we can buy him a hat. Okay, so before I do anything else though, I want to show off the dungeon itself. So let me go back and get rid of the bishop, add my mage. Okay, so I'm going to have to move my picture around a little bit again because it's going to hide the dungeon view. So get a look at the party character name on the left, class, alignment, and character class, and armor class, and then hit points. I'm not sure how it's going to fit on your phone, but it's supposed to show the number of hits that they currently have and a slash and how many their max is. So let me go into the dungeon. Again, like I said, you want to have your 3 fighters in the front. When you go into the dungeon, there is a camp feature where you can inspect an individual character for spell casting, identifying items, equipping different items, dropping items, stuff like that. Reorder, so you can resequence your party as you desire. Search, if you get killed in the dungeon and you end up not being able to get out of the dungeon with a dead character, then your character gets saved at that location in the dungeon, so you can take another party to go out and search for the character at that spot in the dungeon. You can make your party just disband right in the middle of the dungeon and leave them wandering around. Again, they'll be still at the current location, and when you send another party out to rescue your characters, they'll be searched at that location. But since you have 6 characters, you would not be able to pick up anybody. That's why it says already at maximum. This is an important feature to use though, because you can reorder your party, you can cast spells to heal, an important trick that I talk about in my blog, and you can do other utility things. Okay, so let me move my picture down so you can see. This is what the dungeon is going to look like as you wander through it. When you run into monsters, this is what you're going to see. It's going to say what kind of monsters they are, your current character's actions, choices, and it shows in a little dialogue balloon there how many you have, how many monsters you're facing, and how many are active. If you can put them to sleep or incapacitate them somehow, they will still be in the fight, but they will be inactive. So the number on the right will be smaller than the number on the left. For now, we are just going to do a straightforward fight, fight, fight. Notice the last 3 characters only get to parry. They don't get to defend themselves. Now, as I said in my vlog, some of the translations in this game are not the best. This game was originally written in Japan for a Japanese audience, and then it gets translated into English for English-speaking phone players, and the translations are not very good. So be prepared for that. And then when you finish the fight, it shows you how much experience you get, and how much gold you get, and whether or not you find a chest. When you come across a chest, you can have your thief identify what kind of trap it is. Depending on how good your thief is, you may not be able to tell exactly what kind of trap it is, or he may just get it wrong sometimes. This time he says it's a crossbow bolt. Your priest will later get a spell for being able to inspect a trap to see magically what it is, but really only a thief can disarm the traps. In the original Wizardry, it would only tell you what kind of trap it was once. If you go to identify the trap a second time, the game would tell you, you've already looked, and not tell you. So it was important for you to remember what you saw. But in this case, I remember it was a crossbow bolt, and he successfully removed the trap, and you get unidentified items, which you will need your bishop to later identify for you. There is a trap called Google AdMob, which, if you fail to disarm it, will give you a full screen advertisement. But enough with showing off the dungeon. When you come back to the stairs, an important thing to remember is liquid entity. Okay, I want to show off the... Ooh, it's got a poison needle this time. Okay, so the kind of traps that you can face: poison needle, gas bomb, crossbow bolt, explosive box, stunner, teleporter, wizard blaster, priest blaster. And these, I think, are... No, some of these are original from Wizardry. Death word, energy drain, break item. Google AdMob is one of the new ones, and also you can disarm a non-trap, which I don't see the point of. It's the... If you get into the habit of just always disarming traps, even when you think there's not a trap, you can say, there's an option for disarming a non-trap. But in this case, we have poison needle, and he was unable to remove it, but he didn't set it off. Now you can go back and you can look again to make sure, did you really get it right? Yes, it is poison needle. And he successfully removed it, and we get a mace, a staff, and a scroll. Okay, now when you're coming back to the stairs from the dungeon, notice that when you come from the side, it doesn't give you the option to go to the castle. When you turn left and face the proper orientation, then it will say, oh, do you want to return to the castle? You found the stairs. Okay, now, remember to always save your game. Unlike in Wizardry, this only saves what's going on when you hit save. The original Wizardry would always write to disk whatever it did. So if your characters died in the dungeon, they would stay dead in the dungeon until you went with another party to rescue them. When you created characters, they would immediately get saved. In Wandroid, things don't get written to a file until you hit save. So if you create a whole party of characters and then get interrupted and exit the application or app before you've saved it, it will forget the characters you created. So even when you're just going in to create a character and go to Boltax, get him armor, and equip him to get ready to go in the dungeon later, don't forget to hit save, because if you don't, it will forget that you did all that. So always save what you're doing if you want it to be saved. If you get killed in a dungeon, immediately exit the app, do a memory clear to get rid of the memory, and then go back into the game, and your expedition will not have happened. However, this is not exactly helpful if you were on a long campaign and you had a lot of good loot and you made a lot of good discoveries in the dungeon and then got killed and want to save your progress but later go back and rescue your characters. Yes, go ahead and let the game take you back to the main menu, hit save so that you can build another party to go out and rescue your first party. But if you just want to blow it off and try again, just exit the app, do a memory clear, and then go back into the app, and it'll be like your campaign never happened. But anyway, before I get too long-winded about this, let me end this video. I wanted to show off another feature, Expedition. You can send your party out into the dungeon, usually late at night when you're getting ready to go to bed, and they will go out and they will explore the dungeon at that level of the dungeon that you specify, because it'll ask you what floor to send them to. My habit has always been to send the party to a level of the dungeon about 2 levels up from where they're able to campaign, because there's a chance that they could get killed in fights. They will find loot and eventually fill up on loot, but there's a chance that party members could get killed in the dungeon during an expedition, if you send them too far into the dungeon, they could get completely wiped out and will be left in the dungeon. But if like one or two characters get killed, they will come back, and those dead characters will be left not in the dungeon, but they will be in the inventory of characters. So I wanted to show that off real quickly. There's other features. I normally just go into Expedition to say earn the experience, because that's all I'm looking to do when I send my party out overnight. I wanted to show off the mapping feature, but I'll show that off in a later video. Again, also, mapping is done in the blog, which, as I said before, the descriptions are, the links are in the description below, and the mapping is all shown there, and other tips and tricks. There's a list of armor and weapons. There's a list of the characters' races and classes, and the requirements for the classes. So be sure to look in the blog for all the details of how to play the game, but I wanted to give you a real quick overview of what it looks like to play, and some of the features that you have to start at a certain point. So enjoy it though, use your imagination, live life to the fullest, and use other games for color. This is, unfortunately, wireframe, black and white, but you still get the imagination and the challenge of a different kind of adventure. So this is Wandroid for you. And as I said, there are 7 games in the series. Wandroid number 1, Ordeal from the Mad Overlord. Wandroid number 2, Depth of the Maelstrom. Wandroid number 3, Knife of the Order. Currently playing Wandroid number 4, Pollution of the Heart. There is also a Wandroid number 5, Return of the Mad Overlord, and Wandroid number 6, Bane of the Nightmare Walkers, and the newest scenario, Wandroid number 7, The Mirrors of the... I can't remember what the full name of the game is. But anyway, he's not finished with it yet. It's still in Japanese, so bear with him. I'm going to probably post a video when he finally finishes the game. But for this video, I just wanted to show off the first scenario, and then later I'm going to do another video showing off Wandroid number 4, because it has new features that will make the game much more adventurous and fun to play. But I just wanted to show that off. While I'm here, I wanted to show off a couple of other projects that I'm working on. Captain of the Watch Book 1 is a novel that I'm writing. I've been working on it for several years, and it's a very challenging project. The other project is Keshwurl Agnoxico. It is going to be a graphic novel that I'm working on with my daughter. I'm currently writing the script for it, and then she's going to draw the panels, and I think she's going to upload it to either Instagram, Tumblr, or one of the websites that she's frequenting. So it'll be online first, and then we're going to publish a graphic novel through my publisher. So that's another adventure that we're embarking on. But I just wanted to show off those real quick. Other things I wanted to brag about on my phone, not really. I wanted to show off a real quick inspirational thing from InspireBot. It's an AI program that was developed to develop inspirational pictures, but as you can see, they're not always all that inspirational, which is why it's fun to have it, because they're funny, silly, sometimes dark, the opposite of inspirational. Kind of like demotivational posters, except sometimes it is kind of inspirational. It's just off kilter. Somehow or another, the InspireBot AI got a bit demented, and it's just fun and funny to see what it comes up with, especially when sometimes it's captions and the pictures just kind of don't really match up. What does this quote have to do with sparklers? So that's why we have fun with that. But anyway, just want to show that this is also an ad-supported application. What else? I have The Complete Franz Kafka, a work in progress. He has slowly over the past couple of years been adding text to it. Right now he has a complete text of the Metamorphosis, the Castle, the Trial, America, a lot of the letters to Melina and Felice. There is the letter to his father, which is a separate thing. He's recently added the Zorao aphorisms. There are collected essays, travel diaries, but yes, the collected stories are complete too. So he's got the collected stories, the Trial, the Castle, America, Metamorphosis, with of course the original cover picture. I think that's the only thing that he actually published in his lifetime, so that's the only one that has original artwork. Everything else is going to be pictures from his life and other book covers from recent publications. But as you can see, it's still a work in progress, but it is far more complete than anything else I've seen of Kafka's work. And that is all I'm going to show off because I didn't want this video to be too darn long. And so have fun, get into Wandroid. It's a very rewarding series. And be careful with the pandemic. It's not a question of how fatal the disease is. It's a question of trying to keep the hospitals from getting overrun by patients. So be careful, be safe, and be considerate of other people. And we will see you later. Don't forget to check out my new other videos on this series. Leveling up in Wandroid number 1 and finding the 4th floor in Wandroid number 1. And after you finish this game, don't forget to check out Wandroid number 2 and Wandroid number 3. Soon I'll be making videos to show how to get through Wandroid number 4 as soon as I complete the game.